With such a huge, game-changing hero coming out just around the corner next week as of the recording of this video, it's kind of hard to do any really crucial build and guides here since she's going to change so much, and there's a huge balance patch as well. Muriel is one of those people I foresee actually coming back in terms of being a viable support, simply because she doesn't have very many projectiles for a Yin to kind of, project back onto her. And say in the balance patches, I don't foresee them changing her too much. So in this video here, we're taking a look at my favorite shield batteries build. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a hero building guide. I am Sylphin. Like usual, we take a look at the numbers, but as a support and a caster, really nothing much to say. Basic attack, pretty terrible. Her right mouse button is just her movement speed and a shield. The shield there at level 5 is it's okay, only 225, but in the early game, it's really not that much. Q gets power scaling, is not bad actually, and it does an okay amount of damage, but that slow is quite substantial there at level 5 with an okay amount of damage. If you put damage on her, as you can see, 0.6 and 0.8 power scaling, it's actually not bad. It's actually not bad, and that is why if you build Muriel as a caster, which we aren't in this build, she actually doesn't hurt too bad, especially once you upgrade these abilities a couple of times, especially her E here. As you can see, the damage kind of starts to go up with a good power scaling. You can actually get fairly good damage out of her, and it's really surprising, especially in the early mid game. Her damage can be fairly substantial if you build for it, so that is something to take into consideration. Again, her E, not that much damage, but that shield, very nice, 325 shield for a nice AoE effect is quite well, and her reversal fortune, again, is something you have to consider with a relatively high mana cost, 250. You do have to kind of usually you'll have enough mana for it, but just remember that it does cost some mana, and if you need to use it, you need to use that mana cost. The cooldown is fairly significant, 130 seconds down only to 110, so that is why we get the cooldown reduction with that brings us down to 99 seconds, which is pretty much, that's 11 seconds off. That's actually fairly significant. That 10% cooldown reduction is very nice. 850 shield is really good. If you can time it like we did here in the gameplay, you can actually get really good value out of that shield. The rest of her stats, I mean, she is a caster, so almost basically no basic armor. Ability armor is the same as everybody else. Mana regen is actually pretty good there, like all casters in the late game, so that mana regen is pretty good. I taper off on the mana regen in the late game simply because 5.1 is pretty good, and you don't necessarily need that much more, especially the mana, 1200 freaking mana for a caster. She can burn through her mana pretty quick, so mana is not that bad of a thing to consider with her, but for some reason I don't really run into that much issues. So that's pretty much her thing here. 14 on 43 health. That's pretty. It's a caster. She's a caster, so really not much to say with her numbers. Now, as a support, you need to be tanky. You need to just survive. You can body block, take hits for your friendly teams. Just stay alive. So with that, we have to take a look at Board Pyro's amazing post here on the Epic Games forums. So shout out to him for doing this very amazing math that I simply couldn't do. Just an idiot. I'm not sure. So if we take a look here at the caster support, when you start putting CP points into defensive stats, whether that be health, basic armor, ability armor, etc., in order to increase your effective health against an equal damage reduction for both damage types, meaning 50% of the damage that you are taking is basic damage and 50% of the damage you're taking is ability damage. If we're going to say that it's 50-50, which I think we take a little bit more ability damage, but that's okay. If we are going to assume that, then this is what is mathematically correct in order to increase our effective health the most. And if you guys take a look here, in between the 20 and 40 CP points of defensive stats that I think you should definitely probably do. 40 is on the high side, obviously. 20 is on the low side, in my opinion. You can see here that if you're spending 20 points, all of it goes into health. All of it. All of it. That is a ton of health. And guys, that is what the math says. A ton of health. Now, what this doesn't do is take into consideration penetration. So since ability penetration is actually quite it is quite reliable for casters to build, since everybody has 30 and a half ability armor naturally at level 15. Ability penetration is quite common, so you do have to take that into consideration. You do have to build that ability armor that people are penetrating, and then you can add kind of the health on top. So usually, people build 20 to 30 ability armor. You have to have that armor plus whatever number you see here. So you do have to take that into consideration. So you are still building armor, in order to take care of penetration, but still, even still, take a look. If you're spending 35 points of, defensive stats, 29 into health, 3 basic armor, 4 ability armor, plus basic armor and ability armor in order to counteract the enemy's penetration. Okay, so you have to add on to this 3 and 4 in order to take care of their penetration on the enemy team. And you know what? Ugh, that's a lot of health. That is a ton of health. And you know what? I think people don't necessarily realize that. And it is what is, that is what the math says and what is most reliable. So I think that is one of the big points here to take from caster supports. The only difference between caster supports and melee tanks are that melee tanks have a little higher base health, so they don't need that much health, and they have a little bit more basic armor than a caster support, so they have a little less health and a little less basic armor, but otherwise it's basically the same. So there you guys go. That is how you build defense on a caster support. Here is the build, ladies and gentlemen. Shield battery. Basically, it's a reference to StarCraft universe, the very first StarCraft, where the Protoss had those shield batteries to replenish their shields. We start off here with our Centurion here, 500 health, prime card. I apologize for my camera here, and of course you probably didn't even notice until I mentioned it, but I'm gonna say sorry because you probably are going to mention it. I have no idea what's happening, and I simply can't fix it. So here is the Centurion, 500 health. You need that health to stay alive, and you just need it. When the prime card's activated, you need that health to stay there for your teammates. First off, you start off with it depends. Circlet of health if your carry is going for, strike tokens and health potions, stuff like that. That is very, very, very necessary. Or you can start with Mender's File, Shepherd's File, and Scout's Ward if you want to have a more diverse approach. If you want a more flexible option, you can have this that increases their mana regen and your health regen, or the Shepherd's File for your own mana regen and your allies' health regen, and a Scout's Ward to keep you guys safe. I actually really do like it. I do like it. It's just if you're going to get harassed a ton and take a ton of damage, the Circle of Health will be better. So you know what? While I like the flexibility more, in reality, I think the Circle of Health just works better. So, it's up to you. If you go for these 3, then you only get 2 CP. Then you switch your Shepherd's File for the Circle of Health. And then when the next 2 CP, you get rid of your Mender's File for a Circlet of Mana. And then the Scout's Ward can last for a while. You don't need to really get rid of that. But you can, of course, get rid of it for your Lord's Ward. Don't upgrade this until much later. After your Lord's Ward, Circlet of Health, and Circlet of Mana, you have some options. This Silver Spear is here if you don't need to go into Honor the Pure, Tempest Pearl, or Purity Sensor right away. You could have you very much could not need any one of these right off the bat. If you're sitting there with 3 to 6 CP that you don't necessarily need to put into Honor the Pure, Tempest Pearl, or Purity Sensor, go into the Silver Spear. This health regen is astronomical. It works really well with her shields to mitigate that damage, and then you might take a little bit more damage just to regenerate that back, increase your sustain, and get that CP, which is hard to get as a support. So that Silver Spear is absolutely fantastic. Super meta, as I've seen that in a lot of off-lane Muriel builds, but I figured I could put this in here as well just to keep that sustain and get that farming going. After the Silver Spear, definitely go into Honor the Pure next. It's probably what you're going to need the most over the others, but if there's a really good Aurora or an Aurora in your off lane that you're fighting, get Purity Sensor, obviously, as that's going to really help against them or any other high CC people. So really, it's up to you. You get these 3 as much as you need. If you need it, get it. If you don't need them, get Chronomancer Disc as fast as possible. That 10% cooldown reduction is amazing on Muriel, absolutely amazing. So get this Chronomancer Disc as fast as possible while you're getting these as needed. Then, after this, you're gonna get your Tempered Plate, but only after you get every single bit of health on your Purity Sensor, on your Honor the Pure, on your Lord's Ward. That Spark can wait for later. Get all of the health on all of your other cards before going into this Tempered Plate. Get this Tempered Plate, and then get your ability Armor here on Tempest Pearl. Then get the upgraded Tempered Plate here to replace this Tempered Plate. So it's kind of weird. Supports don't get, they don't, unfortunately, they aren't served very well by the current card system, hence the rework for a variety of reasons, but the supports, they're kind of shafted. So unfortunately, just kind of get what you need as you need it, and that's pretty much it. So the final build here, Purity Sensor, Tempest Pearl, Honor the Pure, Chronomancer Disc, this upgraded, this higher value Tempered Plate, and the Lord's Ward. That is all. And that's really the build. Kind of simple, but it just kind of get what you need as you need it to be super effective. So here in the early game as a support in the safe lane, you just need to keep your support, your carry safe. Push the lane only if your carry wants to support the lane or push the lane, and stay safe when not. Now, what you just saw me do there is something that I love to do with Muriel. You can put down her Consecrated Ground, which, depending on the hero that you are laning against, you can get first most of the time. What you do is you put down your Consecrated Ground, your E ability, over the minion wave with the melee hero that is in it, kind of right in the middle, so that you make sure that they take the damage from your Consecrated Ground. Now, what you also do is you run into it yourself and attack the Kwang. What this does is it pulls the aggro of the minions onto you, enabling your carry to also attack the enemy laner if they want to. You're shielded. The enemy hero might be hitting you, and the minions are hitting you, but you don't take any damage because you're shielded. It's a fantastic harassment strategy that works really well. As you can see, the Kwang here is suffering quite a bit, and we're just, just really forcing him down here, and it's amazing what you can do here with Muriel. Now, you got to be careful with the mana usage of doing this. We got our Serenity here, and we actually get ganked, but nothing really much happens between the Bellica here. As you saw there, I used my Consecrated Ground to go in on the Bellica, but she didn't stay around to fight. And here I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna put my E on them, try to get a whole bunch of damage on them, and shield him. And I'm like, ooh, if I go down there, I'm probably gonna be caught as well. So this is a little bit of a interesting play, and I'm like, I'll just go back to lane here and just stay safe. The Twin Blast does make it through here, through the mid lane, and the Countess does get a kill on the enemy Countess. So as you can see there, a little bit of shenanigans, but it did end up going okay. The last ability that I got there that maybe I shouldn't have gone last is our right kick, is your alacrity. It's a projectile that you throw out in a straight line, and if you land it, provides a ally or yourself with shield and a speed boost. Now that speed boost is really important. If you combo the speed boost with your Q, your Serenity, to slow a target, you can slow a target and then use the right click to speed up your ally to get away. Very effective if you use it like that. Here I'm going back at 3 CP just so that I can get my Lord's Ward. This is very, very important because we don't have that Scout's Ward. They're in the early game with the Mentor's File and Shepherd's File to keep us safe. So I go back as soon as I can to get a Lord's Ward, and I go out here and place it up on top, right up there. Now, how do you do that? You go to the edge of the gold buff little area there. You go to the edge of it, you jump, and then you place it down. As jumping, make sure it makes the geometry work so that you're at the same level of it or something, and then you can put it down. So you have to go to the ledge of the gold buff area, jump, and then you should be able to place it down there. Now it's very interesting here that we are kind of pushing the lane strangely. What you want to do is slow push the lane, very slow push the lane, so that you have a whole bunch of minions that go into the enemy's tower very quick. All of a sudden, there's a lot of them, and then you can take the tower down. Very, very weird play here, but I'm just supporting my Twin Blast as much as I can. Now, you can see the harassment potential here very, very much. You can see, again, I did the Consecrated Ground into a attack the Kwang, and then I'm just sitting here just using my abilities and almost get him myself. Unfortunately, the Twin Blast there should have come with me, as he kind of, you know, he should know the deal that I've been kind of doing this whole time, unfortunately, but hey, that is okay. As we force him back, and that's all that we have to do. We just gotta force him back and keep him at bay so that he can't really push this up too much. That is it. We are level 5 now, and we do have our ultimate. Our ultimate is one of my favorite ultimates in the game, being a Muriel player myself. It's called Reversal of Fortune. What happens is you select a hero anywhere on the map, and you target them. And when you activate it, they instantly gain a shield from anywhere on the map. They gain a shield the moment that you press the confirm button, the moment that you press the ability to go to that person. They get a shield, you fly over to them, very, very epic, and when you land, you stun enemies in a area around them. So very, very, very cool ability. Enables you to split push like a beast, and all of a sudden be with your teammates in a team fight. So Muriel is a fantastic hero for that, just like Kalari, in that she can split push, she can be anywhere on the map doing anything she wants, and then all of a sudden, boom, she can be right where she needs to be, as long as she has her ultimate, of course, to do that. So it's a fantastic ability. Play to the ability strengths. Play to the fact that you can kind of defend lanes, which does really help when you have a little bit of power and damage, which maybe is a little bit of a fault here in this build. Maybe we can get somehow, but hey, c'est la vie. You can be defending lanes, you can be pushing lanes, you can just straight up be slow pushing a lane, getting those last hits that supports generally don't get. And, you know, be a powerhouse in the CP department, plus always be there when your teammates need you. So here, the Kwang here is pushed up arguably a little bit too much, and I'm like, oh, where did he go? He's trying to come in from behind. There's my E. I keep missing my Q on him, and that would have really kind of set some things up, because right here we probably would have got a couple extra hits off on him, and he probably would be dead here. And that's a really nice thing about Muriel, is that she, here in the early game, can actually really help your carries damage. And here I kind of go in the wrong direction. I thought that we might have been able to corner, but there is the ultimate, which is absolutely fantastic. Trying to save our Sevrog here as the Rampage is going for a pretty good amount of damage. And that's a really nice thing about her ultimate. You can just shield somebody when they are in trouble. Don't wait for too long. Don't wait too long. That is a issue here in Monolith with the time to kill so damn short. Don't hesitate for too long, because your ally just might be dead. Now, while Muriel has all these fantastic shields, she can use that speed buff on herself, you're not invincible. And I was trying to be sneaky, get the river buff, and I just happened to barely get out alive. That Countess there, almost got me. I'm sure she was almost there. You're not invincible. And while you can be pretty cheeky and try to do some other things, you know, try to be aggressive, try to make some things happen, kinda, you're not invincible. Be careful. I just want to enjoy this just for a moment. Let's just enjoy this. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Let's take a look at that again. Even slower this time, because it is just so good. The skin's okay, but if this was Master Muriel, and
an enemy is unstoppable.
Geometry there needs to be fixed a little bit. So cool. Oh, so good. Now, here I am being a little bit of a pressure. I do come in and help this Twin Blast gank the lane, but my pressure that I place on these heroes here makes this engagement happen. It commits my Twin Blast to the fight there to finish off the Countess, and here I'm just picking this this Kwong off, and of course there is the fantastic Sevrog route to finish him off. That little bit of pressure, that kind of like charge in because of the safety of your shields, can make these things happen. You can actually be quite a quarterback for your team in that, you know, if they see the Muriel charging in, which you kind of can, it actually kind of gets a lot of things moving. And there, I kind of felt the flow of the match, the flow of this Twin Blast on my Sevrog, and I was like, we can take it. We can take it. I ran right in there, got some good damage off with my Consecrated Ground, my Serenity that actually landed there, and you know what? The plays happen. The plays happen. While you can charge in, again, there's a limit to that. Here I am, I'm like, no, don't hit my Twin Blast, and yeah, I don't make it out. If it wasn't for that Bellicus ult, we would have survived there, but unfortunately my Twin Blast there was getting quite pressured. He's right up there, my Countess, so I was just scared of them getting ganked, but I got ganked myself. Just common sense, really, guys. Common sense. So I want you to see the sustain here that you get as a Muriel with Tempest, with your Barrier of Will and stuff like that. So we're gonna just kind of see here. We're going after this Kwong hard. I slow him down, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm getting hard. I used to honor the Pure there, and I'm like, oh, I want to ult somebody because we have two people in here. I do, and unfortunately, I just get deleted by the Countess. But as you can see there, the honor the Pure there really helped. That little bit of when I went into the air with my ultimate, the Rampage was like, huh? And you know, just wanted to see there that Honor the Pure usage was really, I think, pretty on point at the time. And then they continue here to push. They probably should have finished off that Rampage, unfortunately, but that is okay. So I slowed there that Kwong in order for us to really finish them off. I used a good Honor the Pure. I was focused down, but you know what? That's good. That's good. As a support, if you're focused down, that means your carry isn't dead. That means your assassins aren't dead. Your fighters and your junglers aren't dead. Like, that's a good thing. And, well, not not dying is preferable to, you know, dying. It ain't that bad. So we're pushing pretty good here, but my my Twin Blast gets a little excited and goes in there. Look at that, absolutely negating that Bellica ultimate, because I was able to alt in there right as she was using it. Probably would have been dead there if I didn't do that. So there's pretty good use of the ultimate, but what that requires is map awareness. You have to always be, where is my team? Where are they on the map? Where are they going? What are they doing? Who's around them? How many enemies are on the map? You really need that that map awareness, because if an enemy, if a friendly dies with your, you know, with your ultimate available, that is an opportunity missed. Now, when there are times, ladies and gentlemen, there are times when you gotta let somebody go. If they overcommitted way too much and it's a 4v1, like it's a 1v4 or a 1v3, and you ulting in would just end up meaning you're dead too. Sometimes you gotta let them die. You got to just let them die, and that is okay. So be very mindful of who your friendly team is fighting, where they are on the map, and be aware when you have that ultimate up. You gotta be ready to use it for your teammates. Here we're coming in on a little bit of an engagement. It went well. That Countess was dead, and I'm like, ooh, can I finish off the rampage there? I don't think so. And I'm like, where? I wanted to use my Q there, but I was like, really was no spot. Now I'm kind of running around with my head off. Head cut off apparently for some reason, and I'm like, oh, this Greystone and I synergize very well. His sustain is complemented by my shields, so I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I was like, oh, there's Tempest Pearl, I think. Nope, I didn't use Tempest Pearl, but I'm like, oh, under the pier, oh my goodness. And while it didn't really synergize well with his ultimate went off there, it did save me. And I was like, could I go in? I was like, I have low health, not that much mana. I was a little bit late anyways, but there I did decide not to as it was happening. And there you go. There is Honor the Pure saving my butt. And that is exactly a showcase of why it is so damn good. Here we are. We just got to pick at the Raptors, and I'm pressing the advantage. I use my E offensively there, just because they're all running away and they're not dealing damage on us. I land a Q on the Bellica, and we secure that kill. Now I'm like, I think, yeah, I don't have my ultimate ready. And I'm like, oh, I kind of want to push a lane here, but I was like, I'm not going to go that way to do that, as the lane was all pushed up. Now I'm like, I'm just going to stay with my teammates here. I'm spamming group up, push mid for that. For this inhibitor pick, I'm like, whoa, where's the Sparrow? I use my E, I'm like, oh goodness, I try to get in between everybody to use my Honor the Pure. I'm pretty sure that's what I was thinking. There it is, yeah, there it was. And I was like, oh, I took one strong hit there, and I was like, the Greystone here, I'm like, I don't want to use it. I used my E a little bit too late there from the Rampage, unfortunately, but I was like, shoot. And I was like, oh no, I can't. I don't have my mana for my ultimate. I do remember wanting to spam my ultimate here to get it on this Countess. But what I do here is I use my Tempest Pearl right now. There's the Tempest Pearl. You can see it on your feet, running a little way. I wanted to split up this Kwang and split up my Countess and I, so that I can juke around this Kwang. I do get I do get rooted, but I go whoopsie dipsy turbsy all around the the jungle here, and we do escape with a one person pick there from the enemy team, and I was like, he should be good to kill him. And there you go. There is Tempest Pearl there. Maybe didn't totally secure our escape, but definitely helped in that regard. I love Tempest Pearl. It can really be used at really great moments to take enemies by surprise and really save some butts. So here we are defending our tier 2 here. We're Twin Blast goes down, but I'm like, oh boy, oh, there's my E. And I was like, honor the pure because the Sparrow's using your ultimate. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to use my ultimate on the Countess, but I'm like, oh god, I'm getting absolutely melted. So I get away, I was like, wow, I melted. There's a 3-person fantastic hit away from the Severide, but I'm like, oh boy, he's gonna get taken down. I was like, oh, I want to use my ultimate to get on him. So there is my ultimate on him. 3-person stun there. I'm gonna use my E here offensively here. Boom. Take him out, and I'm like, oh, there, I need to escape. I use my alacrity on myself to try to get away, but unfortunately the rampage does finish me. But all of that attention that was placed on me there enables my Greystone and this Severide here to continue the fight. I don't think the Greystone gets him. No, I don't think so. But that took a pretty poor engagement that started. The Sparrow ultimate, the fantastic Sparrow ultimate, and all that stuff ended up being actually quite good. And we turned that around. Good use of that Tempest Pearl. Sorry, my alacrity, but really, basically, it's kind of the same thing. It was just an example of how movement speed buffs can work very nicely. So here's me being the initiator. I was feeling ballsy at this point. The rampage, I dodged the rock. I used the E to mitigate some damage. There's my alacrity trying to dodge the Countess. I used my honor the pure there because that Sparrow was gonna be like, oh my gosh, she's gonna absolutely delete me. And I was like, oh, there you go. So there's a okay engagement, dodging the rock, using my E to mitigate some of that Countess damage. Trying to kind of think ahead. You got to really think ahead. What's the enemy going to do? When's a great time to use my your consecrated ground and your alacrity? When is that movement speed really going to help me? Save me from somebody that's attacking me, going to draw somebody away, trying to chase me, and then my allies can kill them. Stuff like that. When's that great opportunity to use these key abilities? So even if you are out, you aren't necessarily out. I was like, oh, I feel risky, so I go in here. I was like, this Severog obviously knows what he's doing, so I use my ultimate on him. That saves him. I use my E. That saves him. We are able to take down the Sparrow. If you have your abilities, Muriel is really powerful, even if she maybe not has that much health, as you can see there. Great use cases of those abilities. You know, the Severog didn't know that I had my ultimate. I don't think I was spamming it because I was low health. Maybe he just kind of knew I would come to the rescue, or he was just going to, be able to 1v1 that Sparrow. Now at this point I'm like, oh, I don't have my ultimate. I'm like, oh no, I don't have my ultimate. No, guys, careful. It's just the worst when you're watching your friendly team's health bars go down and you're like, I don't have my ultimate. It is the worst thing. And here I'm like, oh, I have no ult, 10-second ult or something like that. Oh, it's terrible. But you get a few picks. I kind of help out. And we march to victory. So guys, there you go. There's a hero building guide on my favorite hero in the game at the moment, Muriel. She's absolutely fantastic, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this as well, and especially found it useful. Please leave any comments down below about any questions that you might have about Muriel, as I would love to answer them and help you out. Please like the video if you like it, dislike it, share it with the community. Of course, guys, subscribe. If you guys like this content, found it useful, please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.